All right, we are starting this one off where I left off last time with the getting the frame table set up, getting the wheelbase all set, and we got the chassis up on here again. So it's ready to go. We just got to reposition it and get it where we want it. It's just kind of sitting up there for now. And as I mentioned, we got this big block in here for a black 69 or 70 Nova that we will be doing. And all those parts are painted and done. And we got the block ready. We had to do a rear main seal on it and new oil pump and, you know, all that stuff. All the basic stuff you want to do when an engine's been sitting. So Larry got this thing all primed up and covered up. So it is now ready for paint. And we don't really want to wait, because if we wait, that means he'll come in the morning and have to paint it, and I'll kind of screw him over with getting stuff done. So, because he works half days. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing painted for him today, and that way he can come in tomorrow. It'll be dry, and he can start reassembly on this thing, where we can hopefully have this on the back on the start cart and fire it up by the end of this week, maybe beginning of next week. So set up a little time lapse for you guys, and we'll get this thing painted. Okay, so got the first coat done. So I'll show you guys what it looks like after one good pass. I probably could have went a little lighter, but this can was empty, so I went ahead and pretty much, there's still a little bit in there, but pretty much used what was left in this can for this first coat. So pretty good. We're gonna let this first coat flash off, hit you with another time lapse, and we'll get the second coat done and show you guys what it's like when it's all done. All right, back over on the 55. Just got the rear end moved over and got it sat down on the frame table. And what I am doing is getting it all wiped back down and cleaned up. We got some leftover gear oil in there, so I'm going to clean that up. And then we got the new rear shackles for the leaf springs. And then got brand new leaf springs laying right there. So basically I'm gonna get this housing all cleaned up and probably get the leaf springs underneath it, get everything kind of lightly put together. And then that way we can make sure everything's squared up and gonna fit. Then we can go through and get it all tightened down and all that stuff. And then when the rear end stuff like the axle bearings and whatnot get here, we can start freshening up this rear end and get it back together as well. Then we'll be able to move on to the front. So we'll go ahead and get this bad boy cleaned up, start getting the leaf springs under it. Well, safe to say it's probably not been that clean in there since it was brand new. So looks pretty good. I think we got all the gear oil out of it. So we should be good to go, and you can kind of see some markings in here where it looks like the ring gear might have slightly been grazing the housing. But anyway, we'll go ahead and start getting ready for these leaf springs. Probably set up a time lapse for you guys and go from there. Okay, as we just saw in the time lapse, we got the leaf springs loosely mounted underneath this thing. Nothing's tightened or set in stone yet. And then we got the rear end set in place on the stubs of the leaf springs. So we'll be ready to put the mounts in and some other stuff when we get more parts. So got this all done. So that way the chassis is kind of holding up back here. We had to raise it up so the rear end can clear the actual mount here. And then we had to raise it up front here to get it up off the frame table a little bit. And then when we start putting this thing together, we'll kind of finalize it on the table better than it is right now. This is just so I can at least get everything up underneath it and started. So that's where we're gonna leave it off today. And then tomorrow, probably gonna pick up and just keep going, moving forward from here. All right, we got the foil pulled off. And this engine has been rebuilt. I'll go over more of the story when we get the car and why we're doing what we're doing, but yeah, it's all finished up and ready to, they're gonna set the pickup and get the oil pan on, because this used to have, this had a 9-inch pan on it originally? Yeah, a 9-inch pan on it originally because it was out of a 1-ton truck. We're going with an 8-inch pan, so we'll go over a little bit more of that when it's assembled and flip back around. We'll show you what we did. All right, left off showing you guys the big block, and it was flipped upside down. And I think Larry had just finished the rear main seal and was getting ready to set the pickup height and everything. So we got the pickup height set and we got it tack welded in place. I guess, it's something you should remember to do once you get your pickup height set. Put a few tack welds on the pickup tube to the pump. Because those things can obviously just vibrate out and you'll have a bad time after that. So we got that all done, got the pan on it, new gasket, same with the timing cover as well. And I wanted to show you guys what this thing looks like kind of all put together. We just have the valve covers sitting on it for now, as well as the intake and distributor, just to kind of keep everything covered up until we get the rest of the gaskets in, which I think will be tomorrow. But here it is kind of as a complete unit. So it turned out pretty good. As you can tell, we just have some regular old bolts just kind of holding the valve covers on for now. And the intake's just laying on there with the distributor sitting in it. So, but yeah, it turned out pretty good. A lot better than that nasty forward blue it was painted. So looks really good from the back too. So everything turned out real nice with it. So it'll look good sitting down in that Nova. So right now, now that we got that out of the way, I am still on the 55 chassis, and I got the U-bolts in. Got these all painted up, these original guys all painted up. Got the old shock bolts on there right now, just kind of chilling. And we will get new U-bolts because the threads are like shot on these. I just kept them on here for mock-up purposes. And got the pig out, got it in here, and I'm gonna get it all cleaned up and whatnot. So after that, we're gonna figure out a way to get this chassis fixed to the frame table, but yet keep it up in the air and get the wheelbase and get it aligned where we want it. So that way we can also move this frame table, because the Nova is kind of finished, like almost. So like I said before, I'll have an update on it as well. So I'll probably be filming some stuff today on that. All right, an earlier clip, you guys saw me get this rear end housing on the inside all cleaned up. So obviously it's in the chassis, what you saw. It's all cleaned up. I just took the nuts off, got the old gasket pulled off. So I'm gonna go through here and clean up this mating surface as well as all the studs. So we'll get that knocked out so it's all prepped and ready as well. All right, got the face of the rear end all cleaned up for the actual rear end itself. So there it is. I know that light's kind of screwing it up, but got all the studs cleaned up, got the face of it all, or the mounting gasket surface all cleaned up. And then I got the rear end C-clamped from the bottom of the plate to the top of the housing to keep the rear end where it needs to be. The rear end is now centered. I know it's hard with the camera, but it is centered from the line to the center of the axle. So that's where it needs to be, and we're waiting on these U-bolts, and I'll change those out and tighten all that down, and won't have to use these, obviously. And then the front end is squared up as well. So that center line runs right down the center of the 1x1, and that is exactly 115 inches from center point here to the center point back here. So we got that squared away and kind of waiting what we want to do next. Trying to figure that out if we want to go ahead and wait on the U-bolt so we can get that bolted up. But that'll probably be the next step. I didn't end up filming it. I know more boring things of me talking about what I did. Hopefully I'll film a little bit more action on what we're doing, because we're about ready to weld the front end back underneath it and stuff. We're getting close. But got new U-bolts in. So we're good there. Obviously we'll trim those down, and I'll loosen these up a little bit when we finalize it and put the rubber pads between there and there. And just a really, really thin rubber shims, all it needs. So I'll do that here shortly. I just wanted to get this thing squared up on the table. So I got the chassis completely shifted around and got it completely square where it's centered on the table, and we can get everything set up. So they're going tonight to get the big block and the 4-speed that goes in this car, not the one we've been showing you, but this one as well. So then that means we'll have that once we get this front axle and stuff welded in. We'll be able to put the gears in, put the brakes on, axles, all that fun stuff. And we'll actually have this thing sitting on the table at ride height, and we'll be able to set the engine and trans in it and get the engine mounts welded in at the proper degree for where the chassis sits at ride height. And once we do that, man, it's on the home stretch as far as setting everything up. So as of right now, I'm trying to think of where I'm at here. We're going to take the shackle apart. We're going to tweak that rear shackle mount, and I'll probably film on that. And once I do that, I should be ready to actually put the new rear end seal on it and start getting it put in. All right, guys, kind of made a jump here. I took a couple days off, so kind of update you where I was at. I think I was doing some assembling some rear end stuff, getting the leaf springs in. And Larry went ahead and finished up the whole rear end. So he got axles in it, axle seals, put the new pinion seal in. As you can tell, we still got to get the yoke back on it. And the new U-bolts, which I did. Backing plates are obviously painted from what we showed before. Got brand new wheel cylinders in it. So this thing's pretty much squared away back here. So the goal right now is, well, I'll show you some of this stuff real quick. Got the fender well exit headers in, the big blocks in for it, and this is for the gasser. And the transmission cross member and clutch. So right now I'm getting all this stuff cleaned and organized so we can get it out of the way, and I can start getting the brakes on it and get it moved to get the Nova out. A little update on the Nova's big block. Got the accessories on it. Larry got those, just got those all put on. So what we're doing right now is, I just mentioned I got this stuff cleaned up. So I got all this stuff cleaned and organized here and got that stuff all put back over there. And then before we roll this frame table out, I went ahead and got my wheelbase scribed in and marked up. So that way we don't have to find it, because this will be ready to come off the table and put the brakes and drums and stuff on, and the wheels and tires, and set it down on the ground. So we're gonna roll this out so we can put this back on the start cart. Okay, we left off getting that big block off the engine stand and back onto the start cart now that all the stuff on the underside's done. So we got that thing over here. And Larry got all the accessories put on. Well, not all of them. We got the power steering left if he ends up running it. And we got the manifold kind of mocked up here. So getting really close to firing this thing. So I'll keep you updated on that. And like I said, that's not for that Nova. It's for a black one that we're eventually going to be doing. So, and as for the silver Nova, Jason's tying up some wiring on the front end. And he got the custom full handmade center console in. So he literally made this from scratch. And there's the Holley EFI monitor mounted up there with like a cigarette port for charging and a little light deal for the inside of the glove box. So what I'll probably do is, since we haven't fired this yet, we'll go ahead and, got the full digital dash in it as well, just needs calibrated. But I'll go ahead and insert some pictures of this console from where he started to where it's at now. Okay, we got the stuff from underneath the chassis, and we're about ready to roll it in. So got the drums back on it just to kind of get those in place for now. And we are now ready to lift this up, put it back in the shop for the day. And unfortunately, these guys are the wrong bolt pattern, so we won't be able to use those for mock-up unless we run adapters or something. So I think for now, we're just gonna go ahead and end it here. And then probably start the next video with getting the front axle welded up underneath it to get prepped for getting the body back down on the chassis. So then we can put the engine and trans in it so we can see how it's going to sit and yada, yada, yada. We'll get more into that when we're there. So yeah, that'll be it for this one. So we're out.